Hey guys, it's Aaron, your multi-sport coach, and today I want to show you not only how to keep your chain super clean, but I want to show you how to clean your bike as well. A really big important part of your bike maintenance is to make sure that your chain is clean, especially because if you're not cleaning your chain, right, you're going to be wearing out your chain and your cogs and your gears, your sprockets, etc. So something you don't want to do quite regularly is to wear out those sprockets. If you've got a P5X and you're constantly changing the back cassette, you're going to be looking at $400 for a rear cassette, right? So keeping the chain for me clean is absolutely essential. So what I want to do, I want to show you some of the products that I use to clean my bike. So this is a basic bike wash. It's a concentrate. I use this obviously with a bucket of like water and a sponge as well. So look, you can go to the bike shop and get this stuff. You're looking about $30 as a concentrate. It'll last a long time. But if you wanted something a little bit cheaper, if you can't see like the value in spending some like money on this, you can just use a basic cheap $2 car wash that you got from the cheap shop or something like that. So that's going to be okay as well. So that I've put a concentrate on that in there, so that we're going to use that as a bit of a pre-soak before we go into like washing the bike. Also, I've got a chain like degreaser, right? So this is an important part of just getting all that grit out of the chain. Okay, so this is again $23. If you didn't see the value in like spending $23 on something like this, you could just go to the cheap shop again and get a $2 can of degreaser, which, look, it's a little bit more harsher on your chain. I prefer to like use this. If you've got an expensive bike, I recommend to spend extra money and get something that's a bit more suited for a small like thin chain, right? A degreaser is a $2 degreaser is a bit more something that you would use on a heavier type example, a mechanical shop or something like that, something that you're cleaning car parts or something. So it's still going to be okay if you've got a cheaper bike, but I like to use something a bit more sort of like suited for my expensive chain. I've also got a chain cleaner. So after I've like washed the bike, I'll still use the chain cleaner, and then I will put like the lube on, and I'll use a microfiber rag with that as well. So the first thing you want to do is just give your bike, right, a bit of pre-soaking, right? So pre-soaking, that's just going to help any stubborn bits that you've got on your bike to wash off a bit quicker. Right, on the wheels, underneath especially, like where that grit is going to get. Right, so just give that a bit of a pre-soak. Just make sure as well, before you wash the bike or clean the bike, you want to take off, if you've got any saddlebags, anything in the front pockets, etc., make sure that comes off the bike. It just makes it so much easier. Now, if you've got time trial light bars and you've got these pads on there, you can take them off. I don't like to take them off because taking like these off, you start to pull off a lot of the sticky stuff. So I leave them on, but I want you to make sure that you do dry it properly before you either put it on the side or store it. So that's going to be fine. So that goes in there. So once you've done that, you get your degreaser, okay, and you're just going to give that chain a quick clean. So make sure you've got it bike somewhere where you can turn your crank around easily. It's like that. And we're going to give that just a quick turn over. Bang, that's it, done. Alright, so let that sit for a minute or two. Then you're going to get the hose on it, give it a good like rinse off, so you get all that excessive crap off. Then you're just going to get the bucket. Again, I've got the wash in the bucket, just a couple of catfuls with a nice sponge. Alright, and you're going to give the bike a good wash. Then from there, another rinse. So if you just got back from a ride, you're going to give it a wash, a rinse, a quick chamois. That's something else I've got, which I haven't got it out here. I'll bring that out in a sec. You're going to give it a quick chamois over, right? And then you're going to turn the bike upside down, right? You go inside, you do like what you got to do, your lunch, your breakfast, your shower, whatever, then you come back out. And then you're going to give the chain a proper, like really, really good clean. Alright, so I'm going to get the hose on that now. Alright, just give it a really good rinse off, especially on the chain. Get all that degreaser out. The wheels. If you've got like your disc brakes, make sure you get in there as well. And from here we just get a sponge and we just give it a nice wash, just like your car. Right, you can. It's alright to go over the chain as well. Get any of that excessive crap off the chain. Around the wheels. Right, so if you do this quite frequently, you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I give my bike a wash at least like once a week, so it doesn't really get that dirty unless you're riding it in the rain, which I generally don't ride in the rain. I try not to ride my P5X in the rain, although in Thailand I did a lot of riding in the rain, so every time you ride in the rain you really need to wash your bike straight after. So in Thailand I was washing my bike every ride, which was a big pain in the ass. Just make sure you've got all those wheels, and as I said, I don't need to give it a massive clean. A little bit on the front. I raced on the weekend, so got a bit of sticky stuff from my nutrition, so you want to make sure you get that off as well straight away. Yes, once that's done, you're going to give it another rinse. Just a quick rinse, just get all that soap off. That's the main thing. All that soap off. That little spin again around there. And then that's it. Just going to grab my chamois. So just with your chamois you can let that sort of drain for as long as possible, but just for the video's sake today, I'm going to go straight in. So just a basic type chamois, and then away you go, just like your car. Right, give it a good chamois. Doesn't have to be perfect, just getting off all that excess off. You might want to give a quick spin as well. Right, gets rid of that excess water. Just a quick chamois, just so it doesn't dry too streaky. Right, so there we have it. Now, how quick was that? It took a couple minutes to do, right, really. It's so like no fuss, and if you're doing this like once a week, it's the best type of like maintenance you can give the bike, the best love that you can give to the bike. Because look, if you're coming around to see me for an FTP test or a bike fit, I tell you, you must have a clean bike. I'm not going to touch it if the chain is so like full of gunk and you got shit everywhere. I don't want to touch it, all right? Like, you can put it on the trainer for me. So look at that, beautiful and clean. The chain is absolutely immaculate. Still got a little bit of grit there, so that's what I'm going to show you afterwards, after it's properly dried, how to get that off and how to get the best out of your chain. So bike's nice and chamois, you might want to spend a little bit more time on that. But so once that's all done, the second most important part is turn the bike upside down, because you get all this water that sits in the bike and it won't go away unless you turn it upside down. So I normally keep it out here. I'm going to keep it out here for about like half an hour before we go into the chain cleaning. So keep it upside down half an hour. If you can put it in the sun, great. Right, and you watch the water that will actually come out of it. Alright, you can see the water starting to come out of it. Alright, it gets in this top tube, gets in the bars here. So I'm going to keep that upside down. And it's good when it's upside down because you see a little bit of the dirt and bits and pieces that you may have missed. So you might want to just get in there, just give that a little bit of a better clean around there. Chamois all the bottom part of it as well. Right. Like when the bike is tipped upside down, you see a lot of other parts that come through that show up on the bike as well. Right. So it's good to know ins and outs of your bike and your machine. Right. Nice and clean. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to leave that there for now. Alright, I'll come back in about half an hour and I'll show you guys how to really get the most out of your chain and give that a super clean, just like it's brand new. Right, because if you're like riding your bike, like when your chain's almost like brand new, right, the wear and tear on it is going to be so much less and you're going to get so much more out of your chain. As I said, these like rear sprockets aren't cheap, especially if you've got something like this and you want to save your money and put it more into coaching like with me, right? So I'll be back in half an hour and we'll take you through the rest, how to really get that chain perfect and how to give it a good clean. So stay tuned, I'll be back shortly, guys. Okay guys, so now once you've got back from your ride, you cleaned your bike, you've gone and had your breakfast or your lunch, your shower, whatever you needed to do, you're back, your bike's nice and dry, it's awesome, the chain is really dry, no water on there now. Now, so what we're going to do is clean it. So step one, I use this first step. This is a Finish Line product. I've been like using Finish Line for a long time and I recommend it. It's probably the best stuff that you can get. So what you want to do from here is make sure you can spin your chain around. You're just going to put that on the chain, right where it goes. Okay, be quite generous with that. So that's on the chain now. So this is a cleaner. You've got your rag. Now you can see how I've wrapped that in there and I put pressure on that chain. So now, any gunk you've got inside of that chain, you're going to be cleaning that out. Make sure you've got a lot of pressure. Make sure your bike is not hitting like it is on mine. We're just going to spin that around. All right, a lot of pressure there. That, and you're squeezing your fingers together like that with the rag, right? And you can start to feel the difference in the way it's turning as well. It's starting to get all that gunk out and turn like really well. Secondly, I use a ceramic chain lube, all right? So it's not a wet lube, I don't recommend that. It's more in between. It's not totally dry, but it's a really good one. It doesn't pick up a lot of the shit that you will get out on the road. And away we go, we're going to generously squirt that on as well. Alright, so this is your step two. Alright, so once you got that on, same thing again. Alright. Ideally if you've got a stand or something, it's more beneficial so you're not banging around like I am. And that, you can just feel it. Through the chain, it makes such a big difference, right? You can hear it, look at that, it's turning so much more smoother. That is green. That is turning way better than it was originally before I washed it, and then after I washed it, and now it's absolutely turning perfect. So you can see there's no shit in there. If you can see anything, just wipe off that excess on the outside of the chain, because all the lube is going to be inside are the rollers. Right, that's the most important. On the outside here, it's not really that important. It's more important to be in there. You can also make sure you give your little cogs down here a bit of a clean as well. Keep them nice and clean so they don't start to build up any sort of gunk. Right, so once you've done that, I'm just going to shift this up a little bit. The last part, if you want to be really fussy, I use a polish. So this is another polish, and $20. Right, grab a new rag, a cleaner one, and you're just gonna, I would generally spray it straight on here. So that's sprayed on there, and then you can just give that on the bike. And that's like a polish. So what it's gonna do, it's just gonna protect the surface of your bike, So if you do get any more dirt, grit, any sort of crap like that, it's going to be so much more easy to clean. Just give that a quick wipe over all parts of the bike. Nice and clean, including the wheels, frame, the forks, and the front part of the wheels. Just going to clean off all those watermarks as well, which you don't want, just to make it look nice and polished. And you can see that starting to come up really, really beautiful. Alrighty, so there you have it, guys. So that's how you're going to clean your bike, that's how you're going to clean your chain. As I said, really important to keep that chain clean. It's absolutely beautiful and clean now, and you'll feel the difference in each ride as well if you can get it that clean. I recommend cleaning it every ride, or at least every second ride, the chain like that. So once you've done a wash, you can just like maintain the cleanness of your chain with that step 1 and step 2 process, right, with these guys. And just that rag, and you're going to save yourself a lot of money in the long run from wearing out chains and sprockets, etc. Because I guarantee, if you're taking your bike in for a service every 3 months, so what the mechanic's going to do, they put a little tool on it and they'll say, you need a new chain, right? And if you're not doing this process, right, you're probably going to only half the lifespan of your chain. So it is super important. Like, make sure you clean that chain. Super important. I'm Aaron Buchan. I can help you. Check out my website, aaronbuchan.com.